Hi the viewers, welcome back to the channel. I have the Suzuki GT250 here. The clip-ons arrived in the post and I'm making a short video for anybody who might want to see how to fit clip-ons. So I have the clip-ons over here. First of all, you got to measure your shock over here to measure the diameter. Get that measurement, and then you order your clip-ons, which are here. FX, CNC, I see them. They got a lot of CNC stuff on eBay. These are the parts here. Here are the clamps. Very nice finish. I went for chrome or just aluminium finish. Here are the bars, which go into there. And what's nice is the end caps unscrew. So you can screw them in and screw them out. See, there's the thread. So these are quite well made. I got them for a good price. So I'm quite happy with the quality. And here are the other caps that screw in, but I'm going to have bought my own bar ends in here. So first thing, we gotta remove the handlebar so we can get to the top clamp. So I've loosened a few things. First thing is, here's my bar ends. That goes out. I've loosened the throttle. The accelerator cable is quite long, so I don't have to strip the housing or anything. That just comes off. I'll place it down there. Put the bar in there. Now for the brake lever, I'm gonna have to strip the brake lever. Okay, just hold tight for me. We'll be back and I'll have the brake lever stripped off. Okay, to the brake lever. I have loosened the adjuster nut over here. And this one doesn't have an adjuster nut like the clutch, this lever. So if you do, you will loosen here as well. The adjuster here, it just to slacken off the tension on the cable, and then just give it a pull, get it out, and then if you look here, sorry, just got to unhook it, the cable out. There's the brake cable over there. Slide the lever off. That is the brake lever off. Next, the left side, the clutch side, bar end cap off. And then this grip is not the grip that's going to go on. It's cut. I just had it on for show to keep the original grip. And then the clutch lever. I'm going to loosen the adjuster so I can screw this in here to make slack on the cable. So I'm screwing it in, and then line up the holes over there so you can feed the cable through, and with a bit of pulling force, unhook it. I've unhooked it through there, unhook it there. Excuse the poor quality of video. There, the cable is unhooked from there. Slide the lever off. There's my clutch lever. Next, you got to pull the handlebars off. So I have my 10 socket here, my 1/4 inch ratchet, an extension which is very nice. It's got a handle on it. I am going to loosen the handlebar. So that one. These are size M6, 10 millimeter from the Honda CD200. Okay, I've got the one side loose and off. I'm not holding the handlebar. There's a cap, grab the handlebar, off she comes. Next, we're gonna loosen this big nut here, and we're gonna pull this triple clamp Just bear in mind, I've already loosened the pinch bolts for the front shocks and dropped them through for when I cleaned the forks on a previous video with tinfoil. So I will be bringing that back up. I do have the front of the bike jacked up. The front wheel is just in the air. So handlebar there, that there. Okay, let me get the tools and I'll be back. I've loosened this cap nut. Because the shocks are already through, just watch you don't drop it if you do it like me. And this should just lift up. It'll lift up off the forks, but I've dropped the forks through already, so that just lifts up. And that reveals the shocks exposed, which is, we're doing this so we can slide the handlebar clip-ons over the forks, and then the top mount bracket will go back on. So let's get our top mount bracket. Now, here is the bracket in question. You can see it's got a tilted angle over there. On my Bonneville, I put them this way. But if you swap them around, you can put them this way. So I think I'm going to mount them this way instead of this way. I think it looks better this way. The Bonneville, I'll show you now. The Bonneville is mounted with the square on top, and you can see the 41 mil. That is this way. And I'm going to mount it this way. I'm actually not sure which is the correct way. I'm going to go this way on the Honda. So, got the part. Hope that I measured right. Oh, sliding on beautifully. Perfect fit. Let's get the other one. Okay. Here's the other one. These are, bear in mind, these are Honda front forks. So, 31 mil. There we go. We got the handlebar mounting brackets. I see I already have an issue with the stopper. There we go. It just fell past. Next thing, we're gonna put this back on. Just watching the cable there. I'm actually gonna just double check my top yoke is nipped up. Yes, it is. Here comes the clamp. I'm not gonna make this tight yet because it's moving, it doesn't locate. And I need to slide the forks through the clamps. So I will be back in a moment with the nut loosely on here and washer, and I'll have the fork slide through. Thank you. Okay, I have everything loosely assembled. I have the forks back up to the original ride height. The best part about clip-ons now, which is why I'm doing this whole job, is I can adjust the ride height. I can move these forks up through the clamps, which I want to do, because the front is higher than the back, and the exhausts are sloping downwards. So I want to lower the front. So now I'm going to wrestle this front end some more and slide these forks through. And it's crucial to get the measurement of the forks between left and right even, the spacing. And also another thing is, it is alright to drop your forks through your clamps, but only by so much. Especially if it's your everyday bike, your road bike, it changes the handling and geometry of the front, the whole bike. So rather speak to a bike mechanic at your local shop if you want to go this way with clip-ons and drop the forks through the clamps. And this is a toy. This is a weekend bike, so I'm going to drop it quite a lot, actually, and have fun. I can always raise it back up the front, but this is how it is with building bikes. You experiment. And so, yeah, we're in the experimental phase. So, yeah, I'll get back to you now. I'm going to have the fork through here. And then I'm going to measure with a vernier the heights of the forks between left and right to make sure they're exactly the same before I lock up the pinch bolts. Okay. Okay, I have dropped my front forks through the clamps. Next thing I did was measure the height from the top of the fork to the bottom, to the top of the clamp, this clamp here, and make sure the measurements on this side and this side is exactly the same. Then the next measurement to do, I started with my left handlebar. I measured from there to the top there and got a reading. This is the height I wanted to decide on. Measured that and I duplicated it on this side. The next reading was the bar, how far in and out the clamper would be. I measured this side, made sure it was the same on this side. And then the last measurement you need to do is measure this angle. Make sure you got clearance. I used the vernier. I measured it up. It's the same roughly, it's not precisely. And then lock it up. Here are the Allen key bolts. These are size 5. I nip them up and then just go through them again. These are aluminium handlebars and the bolts are stainless. They don't go well together. Don't over tighten them. Make sure they're evenly nipped. Unfortunately, the supplier of the handlebars did not supply torque specs. I've gone for hand tight and I've just gone over and over repeatedly until it's evenly tightened. When you ride, go for a ride. After a couple of Ks and you come home, come back and check these pinch bolts are all tight. You don't want your bar coming out or your hand or the clamp here falling down or going up. It'll end in disaster. Also, I have the pinch bolt for the forks nipped up. You can see the ride how it's changed. The back is further up. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see it's facing further downwards, which is the angle I wanted. So, next thing is, I'm going to put in the caps and I'm going to start assembling my handlebars. And there you have it. Just together. You can see the front is lower. It's on a center stand and the back wheel has lifted up considerably more, which means I've altered the ride height. The exhaust won't be so facing down because the engine is actually tilting up slightly. So the exhausts are tilting down, which is why I've lowered the ride height. One thing to bear in mind when doing this job, if you have a side stand and you lower the front forks, you might have to shorten your side stand because the front is going to be lower. So only drop the forks if you have a center stand and you plan on using that, unless you want to cut the side stand shorter, but then it's permanent. So I would rather go for a second-hand side stand and modify that and keep the original. There she is, she's slanting forward. Looks like a mean machine. Ride height is finalized. Kept a 4 centimeters here. Handlebars are all buttoned up. I finally put my new grip on. I put a bit of Loctite here and just nipped it in. Same with the caps here. Interesting thing is I can't put my bar ends because these little bar ends that come with the handlebars have thread, and the thread in the bar is stopping my bar ends from going on. So I fitted the ones that came with the handlebar. You'd have to drill out the thread to fit aftermarket bar end. She looks amazing. Look at that view. I'll go to the back. I love this. Looks amazing. Sorry for the jiggly camera. There she is. Check at that. Ride height feels good. The nice thing about clip-on handlebars is everything is adjustable. So if I'm not happy with something, I can alter it afterwards. Make higher, lower, turn the bars in, out, and so on, and keep adjusting until I find a sweet spot. That's it for fitting clip-on handlebars. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being patient. Sorry, I was working with one hand, so the video quality was, the shooting of the film wasn't the best, but just to give you a rough idea, hopefully it helps. Thank you very much for watching and stopping by. Cheers.